I woke up surrounded by blaring sirens, the chaotic blend of voices and commotion swirling around me like a tempest. My body felt heavy and unresponsive, as if I were trapped underwater. The last thing I remembered was his hands, rough and unforgiving against my skin, intermingled with my daughter's cries echoing in my mind. As I slipped in and out of consciousness in the back of the ambulance, the world around me felt surreal. I grasped the cold metal of a tiny charm bracelet in my hand, a heart-shaped reminder of my daughter, holding onto it like a lifeline. The paramedic noticed it. His warm eyes flickered with an intense concern. Suddenly, I wasn't just a faceless victim. I was someone's mother. In that moment, his determination solidified, a promise I didn't know I needed to protect me from the terror waiting at home. When the ambulance door swung open, the bright, sterile lights of the hospital hit me like a wave. The smell of antiseptic filled the air, sharp and overwhelming. As they wheeled me through the emergency room, the bustling atmosphere was punctuated by cries and urgent medical chatter, amplifying my anxiety. I felt hands on me, checking my vitals, the pounding of my heart matching the frantic rhythm around me. "Stay with me," a paramedic urged, his voice slicing through the chaos as he searched my eyes. "What's your name?" "Sarah," I whispered, feeling the weight of that name amplify my fear. As he continued asking me questions, I could sense their examination wasn't just physical. They were probing deeper, searching for hidden truths masked by my bruises. "Can you tell us what happened?" he prodded gently. I felt a surge of panic tear through me. The truth was like a dark cloud looming overhead, threatening to break. "I fell," I managed, the lie bitter on my tongue, a familiar mask I'd worn too many times before. I could see skepticism flicker across the paramedic's face. The way his brow furrowed as he noticed the old scars on my arms told a story far more complicated than I could express. The doctor arrived, his expression a blend of concern and professionalism. "Sarah, I need you to tell me what happened," he urged, his tone steady, yet there was an underlying fear in his gaze that sent chills through me. I felt exposed under their scrutiny, vulnerable, trapped in a physical and emotional battle I wasn't ready to face. Before I could respond, a familiar figure loomed at the doorway. My husband, his facade of concern ominous, like a predator ready to pounce. The adrenaline surged through my veins and I wanted to hide. I clutched the charm tighter, a reminder of my daughter's love, grounding me amidst the rising tide of dread. "What's going on here?" he demanded, his voice cutting through the sterile air. The undertone of menace sent tremors through me. The paramedic moved in front of me, an unwavering barrier. "You need to step back. She's under our care," he asserted, his authority a shield. Relief washed over me. Somebody believed me, and that knowledge ignited a small flame of hope within me. As the medical team continued their assessment, I found my gaze locked onto the paramedic. He held my eyes, seeing not just the bruises that marred my skin, but the fear that threatened to consume my spirit. With each passing moment, the room felt charged with a fragile sense of safety. "I need to find a way out of this," I thought as the doctors began working, checking my vitals and asking me more questions that felt increasingly invasive. But in the chaos, I heard the paramedic reassure me in a low voice. "You're safe here, Sarah. You're not going back with him." Just as he spoke those words, my heart surged with unexpected relief. I was ready to fight for myself and for my daughter, to reclaim my right to exist outside of fear. Perhaps in this place of healing, I could begin to uncover the strength buried deep within me, one that had been stifled for too long. Through the clamor of the emergency room and the disarray of my thoughts, a flicker of determination ignited, a promise whispered in the depths of my heart. I would not let this be the end of my story. Now that we've completed Block 1, let's move on to Block 2. When you're ready. The fluorescent lights in the emergency room felt like a spotlight, illuminating every bruise and scar on my body. I lay on the gurney, my heart racing as I perceived the intensity of the doctors and nurses buzzing around me like a swarm of bees. I felt exposed, stripped of the layers I had constructed over the years. "Vitals are stable," a nurse said, her expression focused, revealing nothing as she documented my information. I couldn't shake the feeling that I had become a puzzle to be solved, each bruise and cut telling a story I was too frightened to share. "Are you in pain, Sarah?" The doctor's tone was gentle but firm, a tether to reality amid my internal storm. I shook my head, not wanting them to dig deeper. Over the years, I had learned to mask my suffering. At that moment, my mind ran wild, contemplating my husband's looming presence in the back of my thoughts. "Can you describe what happened?" he pressed, his voice steady yet filled with a concern that felt heavy. "I fell down the stairs," I managed, that familiar lie slipping from my lips. The words tasted sour. I could see the disbelief floating in the doctor's eyes, his gaze probing beneath my surface for the truth hidden in my injuries. Suddenly, my husband loomed in the doorway, his facade of concern morphing into something darker. Anxiety coursed through my veins as my heart thudded hard against my chest. I gripped the charm bracelet tighter, its small, familiar weight grounding me in this moment of chaos. "What's going on here?" he demanded, anger threading into his voice. The very air felt electric with tension. The paramedic stepped in front of me, his body imposing. "You need to step back. She's under our care," he stated, firming his stance as if shielding me from an unseen danger. Relief washed over me at his protective demeanor. In that moment, I felt seen. "But I have the right to speak to my wife," my husband insisted, his voice rising. "Not after what I've seen," the paramedic retorted, urgency lacing his tone. I took a breath, feeling the envelope of safety tightening around me. "Let's focus on Sarah," the doctor interjected, skillfully diverting the escalating tension. "We need to determine her injuries." In that moment, my husband's anger suffused the space around us. I could feel the weight of his gaze, scorching and accusatory. It made me want to sink deeper into the gurney, to become invisible. "Sarah, just let me handle this," he said, trying to reach for me, but the paramedic stood like a guardian wall. "You don't know what you're doing. This isn't about you," the paramedic retorted, standing his ground. "We're here to help her, and she's not going anywhere with you." As my husband retreated to the corner of the room, anger simmering at the edges of his expression, I felt a conflicting swirl of emotions: fear, relief, guilt. But the doctor's focus was on me now, reassessing my injuries, his gaze firm yet calm. "You're safe here, Sarah. You don't have to talk until you're ready." I looked into his eyes, sensing the weight of understanding behind them, but the fear still clung to me. I had never allowed myself to speak my truth, even when the bruises screamed louder than words. A nurse approached with a clipboard. "I'm going to ask you a few questions," she began, her voice gentle. "Just answer as honestly as you can. It's okay to take your time." "Do you have any children?" she asked. The moment those words left her lips, warmth surged through me. "Yes, a daughter," I said instinctively, my heart aching with the thought of her. "Is she okay? Where is she?" Panic threatened to swallow me. "She's in good hands. We'll make sure she's taken care of," the nurse assured me, sparking a flicker of hope amidst my anxiety. I glanced at the paramedic, who was still watching me intently, a sense of reassurance glimmering in his expression. He seemed to understand the depth of my fear and the weight of the walls I'd erected around myself. As the nurse filled out forms, I wrestled with the competing feelings of safety and vulnerability. I had been so good at disguising my trauma, but I could feel cracks forming in my diligent facade. It was unnerving, this strange blend of relief and terror, but it also awakened a desire to reclaim my narrative, to shed the layers of my past. With the doctor's attention fixed on my injuries and the paramedic absorbing my silent pleas for help, I took a deep breath. Perhaps this was the moment I could begin to tell my story, to shift the tide. I'm ready, I thought, picturing my daughter's face. I won't let my fears silence me any longer. And I felt a flicker of determination ignite within me, a whisper of strength beginning to rise from the ashes of my old life. Perhaps today could mark the first step to breaking free from the chains of fear that had long bound me. I took a deep breath as the nurse finished filling out her forms, her demeanor calm while she reassured me. "We need to know everything to help you properly," she said gently. "Do you have any children?" she asked. The moment those words echoed in the sterile room, warmth surged through me, a reminder of what truly mattered. "Yes, a daughter," I said instinctively, my heart aching at the thought of her. "Is she okay? Where is she?" Panic rose within me like a wave. "She's in a safe place. We're making sure she's taken care of," the nurse responded, and the flicker of relief ignited a small fire in my chest. As I glanced at the paramedic, he offered a reassuring nod, a silent promise that I wasn't alone. There was something about his steady gaze that made me feel as if, for the first time, someone truly saw me. The nurse continued, "I'm going to ask you some questions now, Sarah. Take your time. You don't have to rush." With each question, I felt the walls I had built begin to crack, revealing my painful truths. I stammered through my responses, internal fear battling against the desire to be honest. If only this could be the moment when I was finally released from the darkness of my life with David. As the nurse moved to the next question, the door swung open abruptly, and David stepped into the room. My heart stopped. His anger was palpable, like a storm sweeping through the calm of my fragile newfound hope. "What's going on here?" he demanded, his voice low and threatening. "Sir, you need to step out," the paramedic ordered, positioning himself between David and me, a shield of authority. "I'm her husband. I have the right to be here," David protested, his anger boiling over as he stepped closer. "Right now, she needs medical care away from any further harm, and your presence is not welcome," the doctor interjected, firm in his resolve. I felt a mixture of relief and fear flood through me. David's face was a tempest of rage, and I braced myself for the fallout. "Sarah, you need to listen to me," he said, his tone shifting, all smoothness and sharp edges. "You don't know what you're doing. You need me." I could see the contempt curling on his lips, yet adrenaline sharpened my senses. "You need to leave," I declared, my voice stronger than I felt. "I'm done being manipulated." The room felt charged, the air thick with tension and unspoken truths as I held my breath, barely daring to believe in this moment of defiance. With a final glare, David turned on his heel and stormed out, slamming the door behind him. As the echo faded, I glanced toward the paramedic, who relaxed slightly, offering a knowing look as if to say, "You just took a brave step. Let's focus on you now," the doctor said, trying to smooth the situation. He turned back to me, his expression softening. "I know this is a lot to handle, but we need to know how you got these injuries." The words spilled from my lips, hesitation battling with a longing to be free of the weight I'd carried for so long. He gets angry, really angry, and it always starts with small things. I thought it was just part of being married. As I spoke, memory surged, the verbal barbs, the bruises hidden under layers of clothing, the helplessness I had felt for what felt like an eternity. A lump formed in my throat as I recalled the countless times he had twisted my arm or raised his voice in a way that made me shrink. But it's not just anger, it's manipulation. He's charming at first, always knows how to make others see him as the good guy. But when he's at home, it's different. I never knew how to reach out for help. I thought I could fix it. I thought I could change him. The room felt charged with a quiet understanding, and I saw the doctor's jaw tighten. He spoke now, his tone serious. "Sarah, what you're sharing is critical. You're not alone in this, but you need to be honest for us to help you. Have you ever felt unsafe?" My heart raced. "All the time," I confessed. I was scared to speak up. I thought he would find a way to hurt me, or worse, take my daughter away. As I spoke, the paramedic leaned in, capturing my gaze with an encouraging nod. "You're doing great, Sarah. This is a powerful step for you." The nurse returned, having stepped out for a moment, taking the opportunity to question me with a gentle persistence. "Do you have any family you could call? Friends?" "I have no one," I said, my voice breaking. He made sure of that. "Cut me off from everyone. My friends, my parents. I haven't spoken to anyone in years. That ends today," the nurse affirmed. "You're safe now, and we'll help you connect with resources. There are shelters, support groups. You don't have to go back." "But what about my daughter?" That concern was unwavering, a protector's instinct buried deep within me. "I can't let him take her." "You'll have the opportunity to discuss custody and legal options," the doctor said, his voice firm. "We will ensure that you both receive the help and protection you need." Tears streamed down my cheeks, a mix of relief and fear. Could I truly find safety for my daughter and me? As the doctor continued to assess my physical injuries, I felt a flicker of something start to blossom within me, a tentative hope. Perhaps today could mark a turning point, a moment of liberation from the chains of silence. David may have tried to silence me, but now I saw the path ahead. I took a deep breath, feeling empowered by the voices of those around me, steadying my resolve. I was ready to take back my life and protect my daughter at all costs. Days passed in a haze as I remained in that hospital room, with the soft beep of machines becoming a lullaby of sorts. I spent countless moments lost in thought, wrestling with the dawning reality of my situation. Each face that popped in and out, nurses, doctors, even the social worker, was a reminder that I was not alone anymore. Yet I grappled with an overwhelming sense of vulnerability. The nurse kept returning, bringing meals and glances filled with compassion. She was the embodiment of kindness, always checking in and encouraging me to eat despite my lack of appetite. "You need your strength," she'd say softly, placing the tray in front of me, the aroma barely registering in my foggy mind. But it wasn't the physical healing that concerned me. It was the mental scars, the guilt and shame that weighed heavy like stones. I needed to push through, not just for myself, but for my daughter, whom I longed to hold and protect. One afternoon, the same nurse peeked in, her brow furrowed slightly as she approached me. "Sarah, I'd like you to meet someone who can help," she suggested, motioning for the social worker. "Hi, Sarah," she introduced herself, her voice warm yet professional. "I'm Lisa. I'm here to help you find resources and a safe place for you and your daughter." My stomach churned with anxiety and hope. "I don't want to leave her," I said, my voice trembling. "If he finds us, let's focus on a plan together," Lisa interjected, her authority calming my racing heart. "I know you're scared, but we can arrange for protective measures. With your husband's history, you could qualify for a safe house program." I looked up, meeting her steady gaze. "What if he finds me there? What if he hurts my daughter?" "He won't," Lisa reassured me, placing a hand on my wrist, grounding me. "We have legal protections in place, and there's a restraining order process we can initiate. You're not disappearing, you're getting the help you need." The words flowed over me, and I felt something shift, a tentative hope glimmering in my heart. "I don't want to seem ungrateful," I whispered, embarrassment prickling my cheeks. "I've been so wrapped in fear for so long. I don't know how to handle all this." "It's okay to be scared, Sarah," Lisa acknowledged gently. "You've faced a lot, but keeping you safe and healing is our priority now, and you deserve this." I nodded, allowing myself to feel a flicker of trust. I had spent years betraying my own instincts, but I realized that it was finally time to lean on others. That evening, as the sun sank low, casting an orange hue through the hospital windows, I found myself sitting by the window, staring out at the city below. The vibrant colors were muted in my mind, replaced by lingering shadows of my past. The sound of the door creaking open startled me, and I turned to see Ethan, the paramedic from my first night, entering hesitantly. "Hey," he said softly, taking a step inside. "Mind if I join you?" "Of course," I replied, trying to maintain an air of calm despite the rapid fluttering in my chest. We sat in silence for a moment, the steady rhythm of the hospital life providing an uneasy backdrop. Finally, he spoke. "I've been thinking about what you said when you were able to open up," he began. "It takes a lot of courage to share your story. I admire that." "Thanks," I responded, feeling the warmth of his presence. "But I'm just scared of what comes next." "You're doing better than you realize," he assured me. "It's a process, and finding strength starts with small steps. You've already taken several. I used to think I could handle it all alone, but look where that got me," I admitted, a wave of vulnerability washing over me. "I didn't want to bother anyone. I thought I had to be strong." Ethan nodded, understanding etched across his features. "Being strong isn't just about enduring pain. It's about knowing when to ask for help. It's about choosing to fight for yourself and those you love." His words hung in the air, and I felt myself being pulled in by his sincerity. For the first time in a long while, I felt something unfurl within me, a confident belief that maybe, just maybe, I could fight for myself. "I've been thinking of my daughter," I said, feeling a surge of determination. "I can't let her grow up like I did, afraid to speak and standing in shadow." "Exactly," he replied, his eyes alight with encouragement. "You're taking your first steps for her too. That's powerful." In that moment, I knew I wasn't merely a victim, not anymore. I had a chance to reclaim my narrative, to shape my future and my daughter's. With every breath, I pushed aside the fear that had wrapped around me for so long. The next few days unfolded like a journey anew, a series of appointments to establish my next steps toward safety. I signed paperwork for the restraining order with Lisa, who stood beside me like a warrior against the storm. She reassured me, guiding me through every intricate detail. As I sat in the small office and filled out forms, I felt courage buoyed by the support surrounding me. "You're not alone," Lisa whispered, her encouragement washing over me like a balm. The hospital staff put together resources for our transition, detailing safe houses, legal counsel, and support networks for those escaping domestic violence. I inhaled deeply, the heaviness of my past starting to lift with every plan laid out before me. Finally, the moment came for me to be discharged. I stood at the entrance of the hospital, the sunlight shining brighter than I remembered, warming my face. Defiant courage coursed through me, and despite the flickers of fear, the anxiety transformed into a palpable determination. "Are you ready for this?" Ethan asked, standing nearby. I turned to him, feeling gratitude wash over me. "I think I finally am." With that, I took a step forward into my new life, holding on to the hope of healing, not just for me, but for my daughter. The past had shaped me, but it would not define me. I would break the chains of silence. I would protect her and become the person I was meant to be. The drive from the hospital felt surreal, with sunlight flooding the car, illuminating everything like a refreshing breath after years in darkness. Ethan pulled into a quiet section of the city that looked nothing like where I had imagined myself, a stark contrast to the memories that haunted me. "Ready for the next chapter?" he asked, glancing at me with genuine concern. I offered a small smile, fighting back a wave of nerves. "Ready as I'll ever be." The words felt heavier than I intended. They were both a declaration and a fear-laden admission of hope. After securing a spot in a shelter designed for women escaping domestic violence, I took a deep breath as we walked through the front doors. The atmosphere was calm, with soft lighting and welcoming decor, a safe haven that looked like an oasis amidst the chaos. "Stay strong," Ethan said quietly, giving my arm a supportive squeeze before turning to head back to work. I appreciated his presence more than I could say, but I couldn't cling to it forever. Once inside, I was greeted by a warm voice. "Hi, I'm Angela, the shelter coordinator. It's great to meet you, Sarah." "Hi," I replied, my voice wavering slightly. "I just came from the hospital." Angela's expression softened, her kind eyes holding mine for a moment longer than necessary. "You're safe here. Let's get you settled, and then we can discuss any immediate needs you have." I was led through the cozy living area where other women and children were participating in various activities. A few children laughed, their voices light and carefree, a stark contrast to the heaviness that had clung to me. Each giggle filled my heart with a longing for my daughter. "Is my daughter going to join me?" I asked, my throat tightening. It still didn't feel real that I was finally free, but nothing mattered more than her safety and comfort. "Absolutely," Angela said, her tone reassuring. "We'll help you get her here as soon as possible." As I settled into a small room furnished simply yet warmly, I caught a glimpse of the developing bond between the women in residence, sharing stories, laughter, and solace in each other's company. My heart ached with the desire for my daughter to experience the safety and support I had so longed for. That evening, after settling in, I unpacked some of the meager belongings I had managed to salvage from my life with David. Each item told its own story, a complex web of memories tied to both pain and resilience. I had only just started to unwind when I heard a shy knock at the door. "Can I come in?" It was Angela, a gentle smile lighting up her face. "I brought you some supplies, toiletries, and a few personal items to help make it feel more like home." "Thank you," I said, the lump in my throat growing. I realized how many small acts of kindness could breathe life into a weary soul. As we spoke, Angela shared stories of the women who had come before me, each one a testament to survival and strength. But then something shifted in her expression. "You should also consider speaking with Emma, our counselor. She's provided support for numerous women here, and she really understands the journey you're on." Taking a breath, I nodded. I could use all the help I could get. "I think I'd like that." "It's hard to say all this out loud," I admitted. "No one expects you to do it alone," she replied, her eyes warm and inviting. "You're not just a survivor, Sarah. You're building your life anew." As the days turned into weeks, I found comfort in routines gradually forming around me. I attended group therapy sessions led by Emma, where sharing my story became a lifeline, a release that lifted some of the weight from my shoulders. With time, I learned to navigate the complexities of my emotions, fear, anger, sadness, a wild storm inside me, slowly transitioning into clearer skies as I worked through the years of trauma. Each woman's story was both different and familiar, weaving a connection of solidarity that I had never anticipated. One afternoon, as we sat in a circle sharing our struggles and successes, I felt a sense of kinship blossom within me. "I thought escaping would be the hardest part," I confessed, my voice trembling slightly. But learning to live without the fear of his control feels intimidating too. Your fears are valid, Emma affirmed, but this is your chance to reclaim your voice and your life. You're allowed to feel nervous, but don't allow that to keep you locked in. Something clicked inside me. I want to be a voice for my daughter, I spoke passionately. I want to show her that we can choose safety and support. I want her to grow up empowered. A wave of applause followed my admission, and my cheeks flushed. The shared power in that room was palpable, encouraging me to step more boldly into my new reality. One evening, after a session, I stepped outside for some fresh air, leaning against the cool wall of the building. As the sun dipped below the horizon, I heard laughter approaching. A group of women, one holding her child, passed and greeted me. I felt the warmth of their camaraderie radiate through me like sunshine. "Ready?" Angela appeared at my side, a knowing smile on her face. "They're about to do an ice cream run and wanted to know if you'd like to join." "Sure, why not?" I said, the smile spreading across my face as I realized this was part of healing too, laughing, enjoying life, and making connections. As we walked into the evening, those moments of laughter reminded me of all the pieces that I thought were lost forever. With each step, I felt the shadow of my past start to recede, replaced by camaraderie and friendships that offered a new kind of strength. That night, as I lay in bed before drifting off to sleep, my heart swelled with gratitude. I was building a life beyond the violence, creating a world filled with possibilities for my daughter and me. The road ahead would be long, but I was ready to take each step toward the light. Weeks passed, each one drawing deeper lines between the shadows of my past and the light of my new life. I took comfort in the routine at the shelter. Support groups, therapy sessions, and community dinners brought a sense of familiarity I had yearned for. But along with that comfort came an increase in anticipation. I was waiting for my daughter, waiting for the moment I could hold her in my arms again. One evening, Angela approached me as I was sitting in the common room, flipping through a stack of children's books, trying to find stories my daughter would love. "Sarah," she said, her voice cutting softly through my concentration, "we've arranged for your daughter to be brought here tomorrow." My heart raced at the news. "Really? You mean it?" "Absolutely. I'm so excited for you," she said, her smile brightening the room. "We're going to prepare a special welcome for her. Lots of other kids are here and they can't wait to meet her." Tears pooled in my eyes at the thought of finally being reunited. I can't believe it's really happening. After everything, I just want her to feel safe." Angela nodded, her expression serious yet encouraging. "You're doing everything right, Sarah. The way you're choosing to build a new life for both of you. This is the beginning of a journey filled with love and protection." That night, I hardly slept. I imagined what it would be like to see my daughter again, to scoop her into my arms and feel her warmth against me. It had been agonizing without her. My mind raced with worries and hopes alike. What would she think? How would she react? When morning finally came, my stomach fluttered with a mix of excitement and nerves. I dressed hastily, choosing a simple, comfortable outfit, ready to present myself as her mother, strong and safe. As I paced the common area, I caught sight of the other women buzzing with activity, preparing snacks and arranging colored paper and crayons. "We're so happy for you," one of them called out, and I felt a rush of gratitude. The community rallied together like a family, supporting me through this moment of vulnerability. Finally, in the early afternoon, I heard a soft knock on the door. Angela stepped in, her smile wide and inviting. "She's here!" My heart threatened to leap out of my chest as she opened the door wider to reveal my daughter standing just outside. At 5, she looked so small and fragile, her wide eyes scanning the room. "Mommy!" she cried out, breaking into a run. I knelt down as she bolted into my arms, holding her tightly, as if letting go might mean losing her all over again. "I missed you so much," I whispered, my voice cracking with emotion. "You're safe now, baby. We're going to be okay." She pulled back slightly, looking up at me. "You look different, Mommy." "Happy?" "Happy, yes," I replied, fighting back tears. "I'm so glad to see you." As we embraced, the room around us faded, and I knew that no matter what had happened, this moment was ours. My daughter fit perfectly in my arms as if no time had passed at all. "Can we play?" she asked, her face lighting up with childlike curiosity. "Of course!" I blinked back, tears of joy and disbelief, realizing that I finally had the chance to be the mother I always wanted to be. As other children began to join us, we explored the common room together, and I felt a sense of joy I had thought was lost to me forever. A gentle reminder of the simple pleasures of motherhood, laughter, and play. "Look, Mommy!" she exclaimed, running over to a box of brightly colored building blocks. "Let's make a castle. I love castles. Let's build the biggest one." I joined her excitement, feeling my heart swell with pride as we constructed towers that reached high. The sincerity of her laughter brought a lightness to my heart. I glanced over and saw Angela and a few other women watching us, smiles on their faces, and I felt a sense of community take root in a way I hadn't anticipated. As the day passed, we filled it with games, stories, and simple joys. In those moments, I realized the healing I longed for wasn't only mine. It extended to my daughter now, too. She deserved to be free of fear and filled with love, just as I did. Later, after a day of reconnection, we sat together in the common area, and I wrapped my arms around her again, breathing in her sugary scent, a blend of strawberry shampoo and the child's innocence. "Mommy," she said softly, her eyes searching mine. "Are we going home?" I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her question settle in. "We're in a safe place now, baby. This is our new home for now, and I promise I'll keep you safe. We can make it feel like home together." I recognize the responsibility I carried. As long as we're together, we can turn anywhere into our home. Can you help me? The corners of her lips turned upwards as she nodded, and I felt a surge of hope. That night, as I tucked her into bed, a feeling of peace wrapped around us like a blanket. "I love you, sweet girl," I whispered, brushing a strand of hair from her forehead. "I love you too, Mommy," she replied, her eyes fluttering closed. The days turned into weeks, and as we settled into our new routine, I felt a sense of strength balance my vulnerability. Each therapy session, each playful moment with my daughter reinforced that I was reclaiming my life. But the shadows of David's control still lingered. There were moments when fear would trigger my anxiety, flashes of the past creeping into my mind, reminders of the hold he had tried to maintain on me. I knew I wouldn't be free until I faced him. Then a letter arrived from my attorney, confirming that the restraining order had been granted. It felt like a small victory, yet I understood that it was only the beginning. David wouldn't back down easily. The complexities of the legal process began to weigh heavily on me, and I confided in Angela and Emma. "Facing him will take every ounce of courage you've built," Emma advised, her tone steady. Angela added, "Remember, you're not that same woman anymore. You're resilient, and together we'll ensure your safety." Their faith in me ignited a fire within, reminding me that every moment had brought me closer to this point. I wouldn't let fear dictate my future. As the night settled in, I held my daughter, the reality of a new dawn in front of us. This time, I would not just survive, I would thrive, and I would protect my child at all costs. The day of the hearing arrived with a weighty stillness that settled deep within my stomach. I woke early, heart racing, replaying the details again and again in my mind. My daughter was still sleeping soundly in the other room, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing outside. I took a moment to breathe and center myself, reminding myself of all the ways I had come so far, yet the familiarity of fear lingered like a shadow waiting to drown out the light. As I dressed, I slipped on a simple navy dress, one that made me feel confident without the need for fancy adornments. I wanted to project strength, hoping it might seep into my bones and help me feel less vulnerable. I finished my look with a light application of makeup, the first time in a while that I'd put effort into my appearance, but I needed that reminder of the woman I used to be. "Mommy?" my daughter called out, her sleepy voice pulling me from my thoughts. "Good morning, sweetheart. Are you ready for breakfast?" I asked, stepping into the room, my heart swelling at the sight of her tousled hair and bright smile. "Can we have pancakes?" she asked, her eyes wide with anticipation. "Yes, pancakes it is. What a great idea," I replied, relief flooding my veins at her exuberance, a welcome distraction on this daunting day. We moved to the small kitchen, and as I flipped the pancakes, I caught glimpses of the warmth in our makeshift home. The sun streamed in through the window, illuminating our space and casting a golden hue that felt hopeful. "Can we make them fluffy, Mommy?" she asked, bouncing on the balls of her feet. Of course, fluffy pancakes coming right up. In that moment, I allowed myself to forget, just for a bit, the weight of the hearing that would come later. After breakfast, I took time to sit beside her on the couch, brushing my fingers through her hair as we read a story together. I wanted to ingrain the sense of safety and warmth into her life, something she had been deprived of for so long. When the time came for the hearing, the calm descended upon me like a blanket. "Are you ready?" I asked her, seeing how her little fingers fidgeted nervously. "I think so," she said, her bright eyes reflecting uncertainty. "We're in this together, remember? You're my brave girl," I encouraged her, framing my hand on her shoulder. As we approached the courthouse, my heart pounded louder with every step. The walls loomed tall and cold, and a sense of dread threatened to seep in. But as I held my daughter's small hand in mine, a flicker of determination ignited. We would not go backwards. This was our moment. Inside the courthouse, the atmosphere was sterile and intimidating. The walls were painted in muted colors and the air felt thick with tension. Individuals in suits hurried past, their eyes focused ahead. I felt small, a mere whisper against their busy realities. Sitting here doesn't mean you're helpless. It means you're powerful, I reminded myself, taking a deep breath, repeating those words in my mind like a mantra. I couldn't let that past dictate my future, nor could I allow David's shadow to loom over me any longer. As the time approached, our attorney came to greet us, an energetic man with a kind smile. "You both are doing great. I'll be with you throughout the entire process, okay? Just follow my lead and you'll be just fine." We were ushered into a small waiting room before the hearing, and I sat down heavily, my daughter nestled beside me. I wrapped my arm around her, wishing I could shield her entirely from the reality we were facing. "My mommy is so strong, just like a superhero," she proclaimed loudly, and I couldn't help but chuckle at her innocent enthusiasm. In that moment, she became my anchor, and suddenly those swirling fears began to subside just a little. Finally, we were called in. The courtroom was much like the waiting area, but felt even more imposing. My heart pounded in my chest as we entered, and my gaze landed on the judge, a stern-looking woman with a commanding presence. As we took our seats, the attorney laid out the situation concisely, explaining the restraining order request as well as the threats David had made against us. I could feel pressure building inside me. Had I done the right thing dragging us into this confrontation? But as the attorney continued to speak, I felt something stir within me, a resolve that echoed every feeling I'd suppressed for too long. Steeling myself, I was ready to testify, to stand tall and reclaim my truth. When my name was called, I stood, my knees slightly trembling. As I walked toward the stand, my heart raced, and I took deep, calming breaths. Looking back at my daughter, I sensed her unwavering faith in me, and somehow that gave me the courage I needed. I'm here today because I want to protect my daughter, I began, my voice steady but firm. I recounted the experiences I had fought so hard to unearth, the fear, the isolation, and the manipulation woven through my daily existence. With every word, I watched the judge's expression change, a mixture of concern and understanding growing in her eyes. I was sharing my truth not just for myself, but for the legions of women trapped and silenced beneath the weight of their circumstances. I may have been afraid for so long, but I won't allow him to control my life or my daughter's anymore, I declared, my voice rising with fervor. The emotions echoed across the courtroom as I spoke about the love I felt for my daughter, the undeniable bond that no one could break. When the judge finally responded, her tone was gentle yet authoritative. It's clear to me that you have taken the steps necessary to protect not only yourself, but your child as well. I grant the restraining order in favor of Sarah Mitchell and her daughter. Relief washed over me, and the knot in my chest loosened. A whispered cheer rose within me, my body vibrating with a relief I had longed for. The hearing concluded, and as we stepped out into the light of day, a wave of elation washed over me. My daughter clutched my hand tightly, and I could feel her warmth radiate through the connection between us. "We did it, Mommy," she shouted, her voice bright and victorious. "Yes, we did," I laughed, and we broke into a little dance right there on the courthouse steps, spinning each other in circles while the world around us faded into oblivion. I had reclaimed my voice that day, and I would continue to fight for both of us. As we headed home, the weight of safety and security began to settle around us, an armor we now bore against the world. Every step forward was a step into the light, a promise to myself that we were breaking free, one day at a time. The weeks following the hearing unfolded with a profound sense of renewal. My daughter and I settled into our cozy apartment, sunlight pouring in through the windows, warm and inviting. Each day, we filled our space with laughter, creating rituals that felt both nurturing and empowering. One afternoon, as my daughter played, she proudly displayed a colorful drawing of a sun and two stick figures holding hands. "Look, Mommy, I made this for our wall." Her excitement was contagious. "It's perfect," I said, my heart swelling with pride. These simple moments of joy reminded me of what truly mattered. The bond between us grew stronger each day, and I was determined to raise her in an environment filled with love and safety. I continued therapy, diving deeper into my past, rediscovering my sense of self. Journaling became my refuge, allowing me to process my fears and dreams. I realized that my healing was not just for me, it was also for her. I wanted to be a role model, a mother she could look up to. One evening, I called Angela. "I think I want to help other women," I said, feeling a spark of purpose ignite within me. "That's fantastic. Your story can inspire so many," she replied, her enthusiasm infectious. A week later, I attended a meeting with a local domestic violence advocacy group. Surrounded by women who shared similar experiences, I felt an overwhelming sense of community. I realized I was no longer alone in this fight. "Mommy, are you going to help people now?" my daughter asked one night during our bedtime routine. "Yes, sweetheart. I want to help girls like you feel safe," I replied. Her eyes sparkled with admiration. "You're a superhero." In that moment, I understood the true power of healing, how it inspired hope not just within me, but also in my daughter. With each passing day, As we decorated our home and created happy memories, I felt the scars of my past begin to fade. I embraced my role as a survivor and a mentor. My story became not just a tale of pain, but one of resilience and strength. The dawn of each new day brought possibilities, an opportunity to thrive together, to break generational cycles of fear. As I tucked my daughter in one last time, I promised her a future defined by love, safety, and empowerment. This was just the beginning of our journey, one filled with laughter, courage, and the unwavering belief that we could embrace a future filled with hope.